And we're live here with a very special guest all the way in Los Angeles, California, South Central California. What can I say about this guy right here? He's been doing quite a lot of great things in his career. Just dropped brand new project. We're going to get into that right now, but I'm sure he's probably seen this guy right here. If he's not in a music studio, he's probably drumming for your favorite artists and whatnot, but you already know what it is. We're here with Davion Canada, also known as Dungeon Music. It's been quite some time since we last talked. What's been going on these days?
Still at it, man. Trying to just, keep it going, stay consistent. Still at it, man. Trying to just, keep it going, stay consistent. Keep delivering quality. Uh, and just keep pushing the narrative forward. Trying to grow brand, grow the company, Dungeon Music, and just do it with grace. So I feel like I've been doing that you know, and I'm just trying to keep doing it. So I got to do this interview again, so I must be doing something right.
For sure, most definitely. You know, having quite a lot of success in your career. I know you just recently dropped a new project with One Take Ocho.
That just dropped like a few weeks ago. That's out right now, doing well. It's getting around, people, we've been getting nothing but good comments about it. So that's great. Homegrown Radio has mentions us, shouted us out. That's dope to have, like, the city behind and in support. Working with Ocho was I mean, we've done songs in the past. There was just like songs either like for the project I did, Summertime Friends 2, he got on that meal ticket. And then he did songs for his project, like Go From Here, other songs, True to Me. Um, we was just like, man, let's do, and they all did well as well, So it was like, yo, let's do a project. Like I feel like we did a project, we got like a good chemistry, it'd go, pretty smooth. So we did it, and we came together with those 7 songs, and that's the Just Landed. I was happy to see that come together. I feel like we really caught up some waves. And now it's just we give it to the people and let them decide, them enjoy it. But it was a good time. I liked working with him. He's a good dude.
For sure. Now, all the success that you were having in your career, you also have your first film production credit. If anybody has seen the movie House Party, they did a remake of the old classic and brought it into the new classic with Airplane James and one of those tracks that was featured in the movie 100 Bands. So talk about that experience and what that was like for you to be able to work with Airplane James again and to have your song featured in the House Party movie.
That was dope. That was a just like for me personally, that was just a dope moment in time. It was like I remember being a kid, and I remember my dad showing me the first House Party, the original. And now years later, to say like, okay, I had a song that I produced in the movie House Party is almost kind of like full circle, like nostalgic in a way, because it's like my dad is the one who kind of like even got me into music, so it was like that was dope to have that kind of connection. That was like a personal, like really a moment that I really like enjoyed, But overall, it was dope, man. That song "100 Bands," I feel like came about like when the pandemic kind of like around the pandemic time. I feel like so it got its shine, but I feel like maybe it didn't get its due just because of the times, just how just life was at the time. But it's crazy to see like that song is still living, now with the pandemic has been about what since 2020 to 2019 or so. So what, like 3 or 4 years after that, and the song is still, doing what it's doing. So that's dope to see.
So in your career, you've worked with tons of artists. Big Sean, Dom Kennedy, TeeFlii, Key Nine, Airplane James, Gashi, just tons of artists, and I'm sure there's probably a lot more that I probably left out or didn't mention. But with that being said, of working with tons of artists in your career, how has that experience been for you overall?
I feel like each situation is different, different artists, different personalities. And then it's been different too. Some were for production and then some were for drumming, you know what I mean? So that's also a different mindset as well. So one thing I feel like it's taught me personally is just like how to adapt to a situation and, how to adapt to different people. Because sometimes, the role that I play is different. Like, if I'm coming in to play drums, you know, you know, I'm not maybe as vocal as if I'm in the studio with like one on one with the artist. You know what I mean? It's like a different role. And they, sometimes even with the studio thing, maybe all they want is a beat from me. Maybe they don't need nothing else. They have their own situation how they. So everything is different. So what I feel like it's just taught me how to adjust and how to deal with different artists and different personalities and just to do the job that I'm there to do. You know what I mean? And understand what I'm there to do and just deliver that. And then, at the end of the day, as long as they're happy with that, then, I did my job, is complete.
Your first production placement working with Dom Kennedy with Word Around Town. I know we touched on that months back and whatnot, but talk about that experience and what that was like having your first production placement and when you felt that welcome to the music moment was, or welcome to the NBA moment, as you have to say, kind of like that.
Right, exactly. Man, that was a great moment for me because I felt like, that moment kind of made it was like seeing a ball go through the hoop. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, you can do this. And you know, it's kind of like you always knew you could, but then like when it actually happens, it's like that confirmation, like, yeah, you can really do it. You know what I mean? Like all you gotta do is just keep believing, and just keep trying, just do it. So that moment was it was like a reassurance type of thing. And it felt good, to see that happen. Um, so that moment for me will always be inspirational, and something I always cherish because that kind of helped me to like keep going and get to kind of where I'm at now in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Because that all kind of like motivated everything.
Now you mentioned about keeping going, and you mentioned about your passions and what you're doing right now, and with what you've been doing in your career, whatnot. Um, you've got a family background in music. You started doing music when you were 2 years old, and it just started to just build and build and build as the time went on. I gotta ask you, growing up, what was that like for you? And what can you say has been your enjoyment in music?
With the music was it was fun. My family, they're in the music, they sung. My dad plays guitar, my uncle plays guitar, my auntie sing, my uncle plays the drums. They had a family group. And so I seen that coming up and I was around that early. It was fun times and my dad noticed, rhythm in me. So I would play in church and all of that. But one thing that I appreciate today is my dad made me practice. My dad made me like work at it. It would be times where, all the other kids could go play, but I couldn't go play because I had to sit down on the drums and learn a song, or I had to sit down and, figure something out that he was forcing me to figure out. At the time, I didn't understand. I would cry or I would be upset and, because I would want to go play. But now that I look back, I appreciate all them times because that kind of gave me the discipline that I have now to like sit through something that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, or I might get tired I can't figure something out or whatever, but I will sit through it and try to figure it out because of moments like that. So I feel like he really helped train me for that. And I might have missed out on certain things as a kid, but you know, I don't really regret it at all. I feel like I've still had, great moments in my life, and that's due to those moments. Forcing me to sit there and learn something, and it teaches you discipline. How to be focused, and I appreciate those qualities now. I didn't know that back then, but now I'm like, I look back and he did me a great, favor.
When you mention those qualities and how it's gotten you to the place that you're at right now, how has that developed your interest in music? Like, what do you enjoy about music the most?
I love it. I love So me and my dad, we would sit and play all the time. Like my dad would play guitar and I would play drums. And for me, that's kind of where I really like started falling in love with it. I felt like it was like a time, like a bonding time with me and my dad. You know what I mean? Like we would play, and it was bonding time. We wouldn't even, we wouldn't even talk. Like he would just play, and I would play, and it's like we were talking through the music in a sense. Like he could do something, and I would know what to do on the drums because I was just listening with my ears. You know what I mean? And but those like that's I mean I feel like that's where I started loving it. I fell in love with drums first, and I would play drums like I said in church with my dad, and that was the foundation. And then obviously I grew into like trying to play keys, and then I grew into like loving production because now you have the ability to like create. So I can just really go in and create whatever I'm hearing in my head and make it into a song, make it into something, and it's like this is my creation. And so I started falling in love with that. And as time goes on, it grows. You start finding different things that you like about it. But at the basis of it, I really believe I genuinely probably fell in love with it because my dad was around it, and that time with my dad like is it still means everything to me. Like we don't probably do it as much as we used to, but the moments like mean everything to me. So I think that's where my love like probably really, really started for it.
Now, of course, began doing drumming, toured with a few nationally acclaimed artists, and doing that for quite some time. When did you want to shift gears from drumming into the musical side of things?
I've always I still play drums to this day. I always play drums. The dungeon music thing, it actually kind of just evolved. So I remember like 2013 was like when dungeon music first even became a thing, like a name. And it was like at that point I was just still playing drums. But I would just say like I would always say dungeon music because I was like that was how I was gonna brand it at the time, whatever. But also like Kenai, we were at that point in time, I don't know how old I was, but he would be with me and we would still be in the garage producing as well. So like I went out, like I was older than him. So like I would be going on tours and stuff like that. And I would be around, certain other artists or, certain business people in the industry, whatever. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm gonna just keep saying dungeon music because I was like, if they keep hearing the name or they keep seeing me, they'll start to wonder what is dungeon music. You know what I mean? So that was how it first initially started. I feel like as time grew on, I got smarter. You know what I mean? Other things started happening, and then I figured out a more smarter way to actually brand dungeon music or to actually run it. You know what I'm saying? Like to really run it like a company. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just like saying this name. You know what I mean? Like make it make sense for real. But that just comes with the knowledge of things, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to start somewhere, like they say. So it's like I felt like I was just started somewhere. As I learned different things or I learned, more knowledge about it, I feel like now, it's like okay, Dungeon Music, yeah, it's a name, but it's also a company, it's also a business, you know what I'm saying? Then you got me, yeah, sometimes they refer to me as Dungeon Music, but it's like that's fine because at the end of the day, like I said before, it's like they hear my name, but then they also hear this Dungeon Music name. So it's like you still hearing the name, you know what I mean? No matter if they associated with me, Kenai, you know, so be it. You still hear the name, you know what I mean? But so that was kind of like my vision behind it all.
Now, shifting gears, I gotta ask you, since you are a music producer, when you're in the studio with an artist, what are your expectations? Um, yeah, when you're in the recording studio with an artist, what are your expectations for an artist in the studio?
My expectations, well, if we're going to work, I expect you to definitely come and do your part. You know what I'm saying? Do your job. Like if I decide that I'm gonna work with you, like, okay, we're gonna work and let's try to come up with the best music we can. I'm not really like here to play around. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like the super dad or nothing, but I'm like, let's do what we came here to do. You know, we can have fun, but like let's get something done. What really irks me is like when I go to the studio, sometimes it's like you just sitting around not doing nothing, you know, like it's like I could come in and we're like, let's say I make a beat or something, then like it's taking somebody 1,000 years to do like one thing, you know what I'm saying? Or it's just like, just if the level is not at the, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, I'm just wasting my time. We're wasting each other's time. So that's probably what I would say my expectancy is like, don't waste my time and I won't waste your time. When it comes to actual creating the music though, like if once I've already decided, okay, you're someone I'm gonna work with, I don't have any expectations because it's like sometimes I feel like when you go into a certain mindset of like okay, we're gonna create a song like this or we're gonna try to do this, that's what I don't like. Because now you don't really let the music you just don't you it's like you're trying to dictate the creative space instead of just letting it happen organically. I feel like if you let it just happen organically, you'll get what you're supposed to get. You know what I mean? You'll get whatever that product is. When you try to come with, you know, trying to dictate how things are going to go, I mean, you know, sometimes that's not always the best situation. And so personally, that's how I like to work. I don't like to come in and say, "Yo, we're gonna make a song like Meal Ticket again." Like, nah, no, we're not. Like, we just gonna create whatever song we create, and if it's cool at the end, once we see it, it's cool. If it's not cool, we'll put it to the side. We'll start over and create something else again. But you know, the expectation of like creating a song like this, or I don't like that. So yeah, I'm not with that.
So, since you've been having a lot of success in the music production side of things, I gotta ask you, what is the easiest and what is the hardest thing about working in the studio? And is there or was there any song that just was hard to complete?
That's funny. The easiest thing I would say, um, is to show up. You know what I mean? The easiest thing is to show up. Because which also sometimes can be the hardest thing too, you know what I mean, is to show up. I feel like once you sometimes you know, once you show up and you get there, you know, things will just happen. It'll happen on its own. You know, as far as actually doing the music, I mean, that's not hard. I've done it a million times. Like I could do that. You know what I'm saying? The hardest part sometimes is like getting there, you know, or sometimes getting yourself to the point to where, okay, like let's do this again. You know what I mean? Sometimes that could be the hardest thing. Um, or the easiest thing, like I said, sometimes you can just wake up and you like, I'm ready to go today. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go, let's go. And then, you know, you sometimes you come up with fire, you know, sometimes you don't. But it's like you had that energy, you know what I'm saying? So like energy is a big part of it, I believe. One song that was hard to do, the finish, that's a great question. Um I can't really say one song was really like hard to finish. Um, there's been times where like I've sent the song back, you know, like I've completed the song, I sent the song back to an artist, or they'd be like, you know, I don't like this, or can we change this? And then, you know, I change it, you know, and they send it back and they say, oh, you know, fix this. So that's not really hard though, you know, it's just, you know, trying to figure that out. But I can't really say I've had one song that was actually like hard to finish. like usually the way I work, most of the time is like, um, like I'll have the whole beat pretty much already done. And then like when if they come in, because sometimes I just send it through email, and then I'll make certain changes, or we'll make certain changes in the post, and that's easy. But like if we're together, it's actually easier together in my opinion, because it's like I'll just go through everything I'm gonna do, complete it, and then once they start writing or deciding or take stuff out, and when I do that, then you get more of a fit. It's almost like it's like when you go, it's like a tailored beat. Like when you go to a suit store or something, like you could just try on the suit. You like the suit, it works, but like once the tailor gets all the, measurements and everything right, it's like it's fit for you. So that's kind of like the process of like when you're there, it's more so that type of situation. So it's actually easier for me. Um, so I can't really say I had a hard time finishing.
Which leads into my next question. Since you haven't really had a hard song to complete, and you've been having a lot of great success in your career, I got to ask you, what separates you from the rest of the pack?
It's a lot of talented musicians, producers, artists, writers, whatever. I just show up. I show up, and I try to do the best I can. Um, and like I was talking about earlier, that discipline, staying focused, and trying to stay motivated. I feel like that's something that I've always kind of like had. You know what I mean? And my like I said, my dad, like I used to play sports in school. That's something like a sports thing too. They always say that, like, oh, coaches like stay motivated, put in the work. I feel like all of that, like I like that. That relates to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something I carry with me today, like all the time. It's not always easy. It sounds very cliche. Everybody says it, but it's for real though. Like I really believe if you stay consistent and you really put in the work, you really can get success out of it. You know what I mean? And it might not come when you want it to come. You know what I'm saying? It might take some time, but with consistency, things will, continue, start to happen. And that's just what I feel like I'm a testament of. I'm just a testament of like work, staying consistent, and people that really see me and know me can like really testify to that. Like they see me do all these things, and I'm still doing it today. And there was down times, up times, but I'm still doing it today. So like I just want to keep inspiring myself as well to like, okay, keep doing it, because you never know where it can take you.
Now, you mentioned earlier about how you started Dungeon Music and how you started working with a few people, especially Kenai 2013 and whatnot, which led into you guys working on a couple projects in 2020, somewhere around that time frame. But you basically helped launch the career of Kenai. You guys worked on 3 projects together, Back to the Basics, Something Out of Nothing, and A Dollar in a Dream.
That's my bro, man. Like I said, me and him, we started this thing together, man, from the garage. And it's like to see him have the success he's having too, and to be a part of that is like, that was like a dream too, you know what I'm saying? So to see that happen, like I'm gonna always be happy and proud of that, and proud for him, and happy and proud of him. Um, you know, that Back to the Basics project is really like what kind of even got us, or the whole Dungeon Music, kind of on the map. And it really, you know what I mean? And I was like really like that COVID, around that COVID time I was speaking of, that kind of really cracked it off. And actually, so the and those songs like Never Leave LA, Fuck You Slowly, all of that, he actually produced and wrote them songs as well, and on his own. And those are like some of the biggest songs from that tape. You know what I mean? So like, um, that was dope to see that happen, and they still in rotation to this day. Years down the line. So it's like it's a blessing to see music that lives on. And hopefully it'll live on. Long after this. those are actually some of my favorite songs from that project. Um, Eastside Genie. I like the whole tape, to be honest with you. It's not like a bad song, but something out of nothing. That was like the follow up, and I remember that time, man. We was just like on the high, like because it was like we seen these things happening, we seen people starting to gravitate towards it. So we like, yo, let's crank out another one, and we was working, and we was just catching vibes, and so one of my favorites off of that tape is probably like ETA, OJ. Um, uh, I really like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. It's like a slept on song, but I really like that song because of the message. I feel like, and it kind of relates to what we talking about right now, like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. On the hook, she's saying like, she cried for this. You know what I'm saying? Like she basically talking about the real emotions that you go through with trying to do this. So it's a slept on song, I feel like, but I really like that song a lot. Um, Dollar and Dream, Comfortable might be one of my favorites off of there. I like Comfortable a lot. But like I said, all of them are good songs. And yeah, man, I feel like me and Keenan always gonna have a certain bond and a certain connection when we work. So, I work with a lot of different other people, but with him it's kind of different in the sense because it's like we've been doing this forever, you know what I mean? And it's like when it was always me and him in the studio. So it's like that bond is different, and that it's not like I'm just working with like a different artist. It's like family, you know what I'm saying? So it's like those tapes and those times are special to me.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much with all that success that you guys been having for quite some time, you guys are able to tour Cali, Utah. I'm sure I'm probably missing out a bunch of names, even Hawaii as well too.
Now that was a good moment, or good times. We were able to create a fan base. You know what I'm saying, and that took us around. Yeah, like Seattle, Utah, Vegas. All of them. It was dope to see. Like I said, something that really just started in the garage. Transform into what it became, like going to do shows and seeing people actually like enjoy it. That's and it's like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, so you see those little tiny bits and accomplishments and wins. It's like, okay, how can we maximize that now? Like, what can we do to keep this growing? And so that's the point that I feel like we at now. It's like, okay, that was dope, and that's a win. You take it for that, but now we gotta we gotta keep our foot on the gas. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like now you want to grow this and take it bigger. Because like I said, if you keep trying, you never know where you'll end up. So it comes with its own battles. And that you have to figure out and maneuver through. But it's worth it.
In the music production side of things, I know it must have been an honor to not only have your song in House Party, but to be able to have Hit Boy in the movie as well too, because that is one of the inspirations.
Yeah. Man, hey boy, for sure. Yeah, he and that's one of the reasons. Like, obviously, he's a talented guy, but another reason why I like him too is for the his work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at bro, track record, like he's been going crazy nonstop for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And he obviously has that gene of like, work ethic, standing in the studio, making it happen. And that's something that I admire a lot about him. You know what I mean? That probably a lot of people don't really even talk about, more so than the talent or who he's worked with. Like that's cool, but it's like it takes a lot to show up, you know what I'm saying, and to continue to keep on doing it, you know what I mean? So I think like he just released like 6 albums or something like that with Nas, like, and they just released another one like a couple weeks ago. So it's like that's amazing, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time put in, a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't even see. And it's like all of that. I respect that because I know what it takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? And he doing it on a bigger level than me. So I'm sure the people expecting things from him, the expectations are a lot higher. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more behind the scenes going on. And it's like he's still maneuvering through all of that and he's still doing it. So I respect him a lot.
Now, in gaining lots of knowledge and in gaining lots of respect throughout the career that you've been having in your success, what do you wish you would have known when you first started out of your career?
From the get go, like how to actually set up something, how to actually run about, go about it and whatnot. Um, but then again, I kind of don't because I feel like sometimes the like not knowing and just doing is is like underrated or undervalued because like sometimes when you know too much too early on, I feel like you can start to like doubt yourself or you can start to like think about all the what ifs, you know what I'm saying? And for me, sometimes not to know certain things and just to be like, well, I know this much and, I know I can understand if I do this, like I'm not dumb, you know what I mean? Like I knew certain things, but to actually know how it goes by the book sometimes, I might not have knew every move like that. And but I felt like it led me to, like I said, just start and try where you are, you know what I'm saying? Like just try because, I might not have known such and such, but the fact that I tried led us to get there and then I was able to figure that out along the way. So that's probably the only thing I would say that I probably would regret. It's the talent and or the work finding out how to work the computer or all of this stuff to work these programs. I mean, it's no way around that. You got to put the time in. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you're really gonna learn how to do that. So yeah, I probably would say the business though.
So, like I said, you've been having quite a lot of success in your career, a lot of memories traveling over the world, whether if it's drumming, or music producing in your career. Is there any memorable experience or any memorable experiences that stand out to you the most?
The first time I got the chance to do Jimmy Kimmel, that was a moment. You know what I'm saying? I was calling my family like, I'm gonna be on TV. You know what I mean? That was a moment. Obviously the Jimmy Fallon playing with Gashi and Sting. You know what I'm saying? He's like a legendary artist, so that was amazing. Um, like I said, the moment I got to do the word around town with that was like a moment for me. The house party, those are all moments. That was a big moment for me, just to travel the world, on tour and go to these different countries. That like those are moments for me too. If it wasn't for the music, I definitely probably wouldn't have had the opportunity, to go see those places or to experience that. So, I'm appreciative of all of that. All of those are moments for me that, I always treasure.
So, I got to ask you, what's been the best piece of advice you've gained in your career?
Relationships can help see build you in places that your talent cannot. I feel like that's a very important piece of information because, sometimes people could think talent is everything. If you think if you're talented enough that you're supposed to win, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes, you could be the most talented guy, but you still won't get the job. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it comes down to who that's going to help put you in those positions. If you're going to have to see that person again, you know what I'm saying? You never know what position that person might end up in that could potentially help you later down the line. You know what I'm saying? But they will remember, yo, I remember I met Davion and Davion was acting like, he was tripping when I met him. So you wouldn't want to work with me no more. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if when I first met you or when we first linked up, if I was, being rude or whatnot, I wasn't just a good person. Well, you wouldn't even want to double back and do another interview with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like situations like that. It's like just be a good human. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people get caught up in their talents or whatever whatever successes their talent bring them or what places it gets them to, and then you kind of get this big head, and then you start to do things that you probably wouldn't have done if you wasn't in that position. So I feel like you got to kind of stay grounded, and that's what that quote means to me, or I feel like it's what it's saying because be a good dude, do your due diligence, because you never know that person could help or potentially change your life later down the line. You never know.
You've been doing a lot of things in your career. I'm sure you probably got a lot of projects you got coming up. But what are your future plans, your career?
is to keep pushing the narrative, grow it as much as possible. Just make it, into make a force that can't be stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at all these people like, the Jay-Z's or, even Nipsey or, Brent Fayez. He's like a new guy, but it's like you look at these people who's like the independent route, you know what I'm saying? But they doing it like a big level. And I feel like that's something that we can do. We're doing this. We don't have no label backing us or nothing like that. This is just all off the strength. And it's like, look how far we've gotten. You know what I mean? So it's like if we were just to gain more knowledge or we were to gain, more resources and whatnot, who's to say that you couldn't be, going down the same lane? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you might not have as big as a success as them, but even just to get a piece of that, you did pretty well. You know what I'm saying? You do pretty well for further than what, what I'm saying, you might have thought or people even thought that you would do. So that's something I want to do. Just keep pushing the narrative and, try to become a better person. The more success or the more things happen for you, you know, it's like you got to keep growing on a personal level too. Cause like you gotta get smarter. You gotta be a better person. You gotta be able to maneuver with the things that's gonna come your way. And it's like if I'm not able to, you know, make the right move or make the smart move just as a person or just as a human, like forget the music and the talent, that could potentially ruin everything else. You know what I'm saying? So one thing I have to be smart about is like, to conduct myself in the right manner so that we can see those moments, happen and flourish in, real time. So that's one thing I've learned for sure that I'm gonna work on in the future is just being a better person.
With all the success in your career, who are the most important people in your career that have gotten you to where you're at today?
Family for sure. I feel like without them and without that, that support, the foundation of that, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. They for sure have a lot to do with it. And then the people who have made certain connections with certain situations, my good friend Clarence. Even before that, my first opportunity on drums to travel play was through actually my drum teacher, Javin Hunter. He gave me my first opportunity to travel and tour. And, so if it wasn't for him, I would have never had that opportunity. So even with another artist, Shamir, who I was able to travel the world with and, see places I would have never seen if it wasn't for, the music. I went to London, France, man, you name it, Norway, Sweden, you know what I'm saying? Like you're all of Europe pretty much, in the States. But that all came through one of my friends, Clarence. He referred me to the ND, Michael Choi, and then, I got the gig and that's how I ended up doing that. So, once again, somebody referred me, you know what I mean? So, going back to that quote we was talking about earlier, you know what I'm saying? These are all relationships that I have built that helped me get to these certain situations. Even the Big Sean situation, that what came through my friend Fabian Edgar once again. Um, he was the MD, and he ended up pulling me on the gig, and then we go to London again. We playing with Big Sean. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of these situations have kind of came, through just being a good person, being a good friend, and then certain things just blossom. Um, with the music, now, obviously, people. I mean, you have to have a talent too, though. These people are not going to just refer you. You're not good at what you do as well. You know what I mean? So it's like that's a piece, to the puzzle that you also have to hold up your end of the deal too. You know what I'm saying? Like I could refer you to something, but you also need to still deliver when I refer you because if not, that kind of just it hurts everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it works both ways. But yeah, man. I just, good friends, and just, people, having my back. I owe a lot to them.
I'm definitely so proud of you and your career. You definitely got a lot of people's backs. And I want nothing but the best for you and your career, brother. So I'm glad we was able to catch up and get this interview, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. No, I appreciate that for real, man. I appreciate the words. Yeah, it was dope, man, to do this again. It's been a while.
Wishing you all the best and success, brother.